Hello, everybody. Rick Robinson here today with PJX Media. And my guest is Ian Dallimore, and he is the VP of Digital Growth at Lamar. Say hello to everybody, Ian.
Hey, how's it going, guys?
Look, I'm super thrilled to have you. You're such a big voice in the industry, and I know you're out there evangelizing all the time. So I have a question for you. Now, you're one of the first guests here in season 2, and in season 1, we talked about what out of home can do that nothing else can do. And there were a lot of great responses, all I would say under this umbrella of gravitas, public statement, community, emotion, amplifying social, this big presence factor and everything that creates and resonates. And with all of that happening and improved measurement and, the increase of our digital footprint and just our contemporary leaning, let's call it that, over the last decade and these improvements we made, why are we stuck at 5% share as an industry?
Yeah, it's a great question. And it's something that obviously our board and myself and many others in the industry, I hate hearing that word 5%, but it's right. But everything that you've rattled off, we've fixed and have continued to evolve. I've been in this space, believe it or not, for 18 years now. And in the beginning, none of those things that you mentioned for yourself as well existed, right? We were at the very evolution of a lot of those. We've fixed and we've hyper-focused on all of those. So I'll say we've fixed them and it's a constant evolution. But I've broken it up into 2 points. Are we speaking the same language and as one voice? So over the last 18 years of my time here, the evolution of who is a publisher in the space has massively evolved, right? The place-based industry has exploded, and I would argue for a good purpose. So the evolution of the screens in the space have evolved, but yet we all continue to act off as these one-off companies. And as I kind of researched for the being a guest here, I looked at our friends over on the social side. So you have Instagram Reels and you have a TikTok feed, right? They're speaking the same exact language. If I'm an advertiser or a consumer, it's very simple, right? I record a video, I got 15 to 60 seconds, depending on the 2 platforms, and it's very consistent. I know who my audience is based on the follows, etc. We do the same thing, but we all act differently. And to an advertiser in that side of the world, it's very simple, right? Here's the specs that create, this is the audience, this is how we measure. But they speak as the same. They're just 2 different companies that are talking the same language. In our space, you'll have roadside companies like Lamar, Clear Channel, Outfront, and others. But then you'll have a lot of the place-based folks that have done amazing things like Volta and others and grocery TV. And they all speak as if they're individual screens, but we always take a step back. And I love that you're one of my mentors, but the people space, right? None of us really care if we take our out-of-home hats off or we take our agency hats off. None of us really care, right? We just care that throughout my journey throughout the day, I see all of these different screens that are beautifully woven in. And when you see those rare opportunities, and I think that's where the 5% growth comes, when you see those rare opportunities where a brand, you wake up in the morning, you see that Instagram reel of that brand, you're then headed down a highway, you see a Lamar digital board, you walk into a gym, you see Zoom, et cetera, right? It's beautifully woven. But that rarely happens. Yes, the programmatic and automation has fixed that. But one of the issues that has happened is it's very jagged. It's, hey, I'm grocery TV. I'm going to go in and sell Y grocery TV over this medium, as opposed to us having one voice. Yes, we should compete, but let's not confuse the brands because it's very, very confusing, right? So that's my first point. The second point is, and I know you and I have a love for the arts. You're more of an artist and do fantastic work as we were kind of prepping here. But I'll say it very bluntly, like we have to be the sexy medium that we know that we are. Those folks that I just rattled off, the coolest thing that they can do is video on a tiny little phone, right? We have this ability to present ourselves in such a beautiful manner. And most importantly, Rick, is we have the ability to talk in the elements, in real life, in an environment. So me as a consumer, I sit there and I may see this beautiful, colossal hand-painted wall, and it speaks to me in that moment. Yes, I can interact with it through, augmented reality. I can take a selfie, etc. But people are dying to they didn't ask to have an ad thrown in their face. But the best thing that the out-of-home space can do to truly grow is really the creative side. And most importantly is, tell me what your brand means to me at this moment in time, when it's raining, at lunchtime, as I'm driving down the freeway.
The power of context. So one voice, right? One unified voice, and get our swagger, right? Get our sexy and speak with that with confidence. What are we afraid of?
Yeah, I think it's a relationship thing, right? Like Lamar and PJX have been partners since the birth and the founding, and you do a fantastic job of running that agency. But I think there's such a fear that it's like, okay, I just need to make sure my photo sheet looks great and that spreadsheet is filled out based off of agency X. But what if, and we do this, so there's not really a what if, but what if we did more of you and I, and this is funny because you and I have done this in previous lives, but what if the two of us went in, we collaborated, we brought another publisher in, we brought multiple publishers to have that journey, and we went into BBDO, we went into Wyden Kennedy, we went to brands directly, and we said, this is what we can do together, and this is how we can present your brand. We're not even a part of a conversation because it's so confusing at the brand level and at the holding company level. By the time it gets down to the at-home specialist side, oftentimes you're not even on the brief because the creative team has this very, square thought of what out-of-home is. So we're not telling this story and we're not fully presenting our capabilities because we know they're robust, the dynamic creative capabilities, the 3D build out. So it's really telling not only one voice as a medium as the out-of-home industry, but it's really one voice. Like, go alongside with your agency partner and say, hey, look, something may or may not come out of this, but I respect our partnership. Let's go into that brand together and let's tell this story together. And when that brand says, love it, perfect, here's PJX, here's agency XYZ.
And then there's the big opportunity, right?
100%.
So one voice, walk our sexy, do it in unison, and let go of the old competitive borders. Ian, thank you very much for your time. I appreciate it. I know our audience does. There's obviously so much more we can talk about. We're going to definitely have you back.
Love it.
Have an awesome day and a great week, my friend.
Thank you, my friend.